everybody, this is Valerie Greenwell and welcome to Quilt Artistry. For this project, you will need approximately 1.5 yards of backing fabric, batting, and top fabric. You will also need a couching foot and a variety of at least 4 colors of yarn. Your yarn colors should contrast from your project fabric colors. You will need matching threads for each of your selected yarn colors. Open Creative Studio. Navigate to the Projects tab. Click on Project Properties. In the Projects Properties, change the speed to 6, the stitches per inch to 14, and if you would like to give your project a name, you can add that here. When finished, click Save and Close. By changing the information in your Project Properties window before importing your pattern will make these changes permanent in your project. So once you import the pattern, your speed and your stitches per inch will stay just as you selected, and you won't have to make this change again. Navigate to your Patterns window. Select the Dressed Up Horse Block 001 and click Add to Project. Load your backing fabric, batting, and top fabric and baste around all 4 sides. Select Draw a Boundary and create a boundary around your entire stitchable area. Place your pattern in the center of your boundary, leaving an equal amount of space on all sides. This pattern has 7 starts and stops, and you'll have thread changes as needed. Follow the guide carefully and make sure that you change your threads and your yarn colors at the appropriate time. We will start here on this side, then we'll go from here, then our number 2 will start here at the main color. So make sure that you're following your thread colors on the thread guide and changing at the appropriate time. The yarn I've selected for my outline is a Vernat Baby Blanket. It's a chenille yarn, but it's not as fluffy as some of the other chenille yarns. If you look at it, it almost looks like it lays sort of flat. It's not as heavy as many of the others that I've seen. I think we'll have pretty good luck with this. When starting a couching project, I like to unspool, unroll a little bit of a puddle of yarn to start with. You're kind of going to be holding on to this and spooling off your yarn as needed. You're going to be hand feeding it into the needle as you go. This is why I set the speed as low as I do, because it makes it easier to control how you feed the yarn into the machine. Thread your yarn through the foot. For this, I like to use these thread flossers, floss threaders, whatever you want to call them. I'll have a link to these with a proper name in the instructions. Make sure that you have hold of both your yarn and your top and bottom threads. I like to leave a little bit of a thread tail because when I'm finished with this project, I'll come back and stitch these down right at their stops and starts. You're going to want to hold on to your thread tails of both threads as well as your yarn, and then hit start. And you're just going to feed the yarn to the machine as it is moving. I slowed mine down to make it a little easier to control while I'm also filming. If you are comfortable, you can speed your machine up. If you've never done it before, I recommend keeping it a little bit slow. Sometimes I like to drape the yarn over the handle That way it sort of pulls with it and keeps the slack out of the way. Once it is finished stitching, you're going to go ahead and cut your yarn and change your threads and your yarn color to the color that you've selected for the horse mane. As you can see, it's stitched beautifully. Isn't that a neat look? I love it. You can see I've selected a nice light tan or beige color for the horse mane. Once you have your thread and your yarn changed out, go ahead and hit the start button. There's a lot going on with this thread mane, so you might want to stitch this one slow. There's a lot of turns and a lot of movement, and you're going to want to maintain control as it's moving. When it's done stitching, go ahead and leave yourself a tail and cut your threads and change your color to black or whatever color you've selected for your eyes and nostrils. I've selected a black yarn and black thread to do the eyes and the nostrils, and I went with a slightly smaller yarn because there's a little bit of detail in the eyes, and I thought the chenille might be a little too heavy. We'll give that a try. So once you have all of your black or your eyes and your nostrils, once you have those completely sewn, go ahead and change threads and yarn colors to the color that you have selected for your horse. Go ahead and stitch your last color. Once you've finished stitching everything, you can take it off of the frame, trim it up as needed, and you can either bind it or use it as a centerpiece in another project. Okay, and that's it for the Dressed Up Horse Block 001 by Sweet Dreams Quilt Studio. I am going to call this project a success. I love the way it looks. I hope you do too. If you have any questions, please feel free to email or comment.